Hey, this is Treva Garcia, my husband, Louis Garcia. We're going to be doing real talk for private practice dietitians, all the things no one really talks about for how to get success with clients.
Tonight we're running on the right track. I know we never gonna look back.
Okay, so first question, Treva, can you take us back? What made you want to create a resource guide for dietitians?
Well, when I started with being an outpatient a long time ago in my internship, no one taught me what I should say or do with clients. I had to make it up. Fast forward 20, 30 years, I don't even want to keep count anymore. A long time. No one still has figured it out. So I've been tinkering and coming up with a way to do it. I've been teaching my team and it seems to go really well. So I wanted to share that with dietitians that are starting out in private practice. Here's what to say, here's what to do, here's when to do it, so that they have some place to start when it comes to sessions.
Great. And you say in that session guide and those reels you made on Instagram that dietitians should have like a detective mode when they're engaging with clients. So what do you say that? Why is that different from what dietitians are normally taught?
Well, the problem is we're not normally taught anything really, but what I've learned is that you can't just go off an intake form. There's always a lot of information behind the scenes that either clients don't know or they haven't shared. And so habit detective mode is really getting down to what are people's goals, what's been going on with their body, what's their lifestyle like, and what are those preferences. And once we know that, we can give people options. Here's the things that you can do because there are a million different ways to be healthy. We're just helping our clients create their personal recipe.
So what do you, how's that apply to when you're dealing with clients? Is there kind of questions you ask them to kind of get them to open up so you can kind of get those details out of them?
Well, I tell them, thank you for filling out this intake form. This helps me so much. But then I do just go down through a lot of the questions and reiterate in the intake form. So you said that, you don't have anything for breakfast. Is that because you're trying to watch your calories or is that because you're not hungry? So we're getting down to it. Okay, you work from home. How does that affect your eating habits? So just kind of finding out what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Do you ever ask clients or, focus questions like what do you want to focus on today? And if you do, why do you ask that type of question?
Well, when we're talking about habit detective mode, that's really the initial session. And so in the initial session, I will ask them, what are your goals? What brought you to talk to me today? That kind of gets down to the root of it. Follow-up sessions are more of a troubleshooting mode where we're going to be like, what do you want to focus on today? What's top of mind? What's throwing you off? So that's a great question to really focus the session. And it's important that we ask the client and that this is a client-centered approach because we don't know what's going on in their life and we need to find out what where their interests are and what's been throwing them off.
So you talk about in those sessions as you start discovering, what is challenging the client. What do you talk about constraints. How do RDs even find those constraints? What type of questions do you ask to get those constraints out of a client?
Well, in an initial session, there is a big, hairy constraint, like the thing holding them back. And that is usually the reason why they came. Clients don't come to us as their first option. Usually they've been stuck for a long time and there's something that has kept them stuck. It might be all or nothing thinking. It might be not really understanding insulin resistance or all the changes with perimenopause. And so finding that constraint helps us to know, where we need to focus maybe our habits and our education. Now, constraints in a follow-up session would be like, you want to have healthy dinners each night. What's been holding you back there? And so that might be, oh, my kid has soccer practice Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or I don't know what to cook. And so finding out what's been holding them back in that area is important too.
Awesome. Very good. So it sounds like it's a big part of your philosophy to co-create with clients, right?
Yeah.
Why
We're partners.
Right.
We're a team.
So why is that so important to you? Why can't we just do it traditionally, just kind of talk to a
So
client?
here's a handout.
Yeah,
Do
right.
this. Because really the hard part about behavior change is the doing it. How am I going to do it? And then doing it. Just because we decide to do something doesn't mean it works out perfectly. Usually it's a habit, like more of an experimental process, and we have to tweak things as we go. So co-creating it is so important because we don't know their lives. They know their lives. They're the expert on themselves. And so we need their feedback, and they need to be invested in whatever that plan is.
Okay, so for any dietitians watching this video today, when they're facing a initial session or a follow-up session, what are some things that they could do differently starting today?
Well, first of all, they can go to the description and download my Successful Session Setup Guide, which is quite the tongue twister. It does outline different sections of a session, both the initial and follow-up, how much time to take, and actually what to say. Like, here's the key questions that will lead you through the session. It's an amazing resource. It took me years to figure this out, and so I'm sharing it with other people. So I would say the biggest thing to do to get better in sessions is look at that guide and start putting some of those things into practice. There are some in that guide, there's things that you can put up on your screen to kind of help as a template, as a cheat sheet to get you through a session. Dietitians in private practice don't have to keep making it up. So go ahead and subscribe to our channel, download the Successful Session Setup Guide, and we've got this.